Hey everybody, this is Rycard here again, and welcome to part 2 of my guide to set building in Pokemon. Today we're going to be discussing all the different resources that you can all make use of in order to give you the greatest knowledge you can about this game, and thus allow you to make the best sets possible for your team and the teammates on it. There are 4 main websites that I'm going to be showing to you today. I know that there are others out there, but these are the ones that I find to be the most useful, so if you actually have any other websites that you really enjoy using, feel free to put them in the comments so other people can see them. But these 4, which I'm going to be showing to you, are the first, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, are Smokin.com, second being Ovalpedia, third being CenterBeat, and the 4th one being the website where you actually download Pokemon Online, because I feel like just having the game in front of you on your computer is probably one of the most useful things to me when wanting to build a set. So without any further ado, let's get to the internet and start seeing what these websites are all about. So first off, we are here at Smokin.com, which to me was basically the birthplace of where I even was introduced to competitive battling. Now this website is very well known amongst most people that play Pokemon because it is an excellent resource for pretty much anyone that wants to get more involved with the competitive aspect of this game. It has a lot of different resources on this website, and they're all very helpful in helping you out no matter what generation of Pokemon it is. Like, you can even be interested in first gen battling, and this website will be able to help you out with that. But the first thing we're going to look at really quickly, because it's not necessarily as important as some of the other features, is the feature right here, which is known as the damage calculator. And this is just something which I can showcase really quick. It's something that'll allow you to basically put in any Pokemon. Let's just say we have Arcanine and we have a Cloyster. And you might be curious as to how much a Roar of Time can do to a Cloyster. And voila, it might do that much damage. Basically, obviously this is completely unrealistic because Arcanine cannot learn Roar of Time. But it's basically a website where if you want to take like an actual set, you can plug in all the different EVs, which you can do down here, and you can just scroll down a bit. You can change it around. You can max out everything if you really want to. There's really no reason to do that though. And you can put it up against a Pokemon of pretty much anything in the game. Now, this site does not necessarily have 5th gen Pokemon on here yet, but you can make 5th gen Pokemon on here just simply by manipulating some of the things on here. So for example, if we wanted to make a Victini, we could just move all of these basic stats to 100. Ooh, that's 1,000. I'll fix that in a second. And we can give it a Fire Psychic typing. Where is it? Here we go. And right now we essentially have the equivalent of a Victini. And we could, make things that way. So if you know the base stats of the Pokemon you're using, you can use them and modify the stats of like any Pokemon on this website, the abilities, the items, anything you want to match up. So there is a way of getting around the lack of 5th gen right now, which is a little bit annoying, but you can still do it. And that's something to allow you to, see how much damage anything can do, or see how much damage something can take from a specific move. But back to the main site. Ooh, oops, that is not where I want to go. Here we want to go, that's YouTube. We're just going to click on the black and white thing right here, and this basically gives you a bunch of different options here. You can look at tiers, Pokemon, articles, metagames, ban list, types, moves, items, abilities, natures, a whole slew of things. But I'm just going to take you through some of like the basic things in Pokemon right now. Here is essentially every single Pokemon ever. It lists every tier it's in, the types, the abilities, and then all the base stats of it, so HP, whatever, or like the max thing. And the best thing about this page right here is that not only can you look at it for each generation, and you can even go all the way back to red and blue, is that you can actually organize the Pokemon on here by clicking any of these things on the top. So right now it's in alphabetical order, but say we want it in order by type. So this will basically list every single Pokemon that's a water type until you get to something new, which now you get to steel types, and etc. So it's really cool. You can organize them by tier, you can organize Pokemon by their abilities, and this is actually doing reverse alphabetical order right now. Or you can, if you want a Pokemon with really high HP, you can find that out here, and same thing for all of these. So this feature alone is just really useful. And once you want to, start exploring some different movesets, you are essentially free to click on any of these Pokemon. So I'm gonna just find something interesting. Let's click Mandibuzz. Okay. So right here, we're on the Mandibuzz page. It's very self-explanatory. It gives you all the different abilities this Pokemon can learn and what they do. It even lists its Dream Mode ability, which isn't released yet, which is Weak Armor. And it also lists the typing, what tier it's in, and the stats, which to me are probably the most important thing. You can basically see what this Pokemon is good at and what this Pokemon is bad at. So obviously, special attack is where this Pokemon is lacking, but it does have great defenses and some good speed, so that's pretty cool. Following this is a bit of an overview. Now, these overviews, in my opinion, this is like the one problem I have with this website, is that they tend to be very, very biased and sarcastic a lot of the time when you're referring to Pokemon that are not necessarily as good as others. So that's just something that I just try to ignore whenever I come on this website, but this is pretty much just an overview of it, and then it lists a few sets, it lists the EVs, and it lists basically what it can do. It gives some other options, but the most important thing to me here, and why I use this site the most, is the checks and counters, because it really basically goes in depth into what, the game is, or what you're going to be dealing with in the different metagames, but depending on the tier. So, for example, this says, Stealth Rock is a problem, Toxic is a problem, and then it also lists various Pokemon like Rotom and Manectric, which will give Mandibuzz problems. So this is probably the most useful thing, because if you want to know what, or if you want to use any Pokemon, it's really important to know what might be hindering that Pokemon in battle that your opponent might be packing. So obviously, you want to keep your Mandibuzz away from, Manectric and Rotom and Magneton and things like that. So I find that to be the most useful. Also, it does list different strategies for different tiers sometimes, depends on the Pokemon, and its overall perceived usefulness. But you can also go into the move slot, which basically shows every single move that this Pokemon can learn. You can organize it alphabetically, by accuracy, by PP, type. It's pretty extensive on what you can do. Also, very helpful for all of you is this little types feature right over here. It's basically a type chart. I have one of these on my computer anyways, just because for easy access, because I'm a dork. But you can also look up different moves, and you can actually do this on any page of the Pokemon that, similar to the Mandibuzz one I just looked at, but it basically lists every single move. So say we click Aqua Ring, it'll tell you what it does, how it can be used competitively, and every single Pokemon that learns it. So, very, very useful. Same thing with, abilities. You can, find every single Pokemon that learns adaptability. It even specifies whether or not it's in the Dream Mode or not. Also, nature's something you might want to take into account so that you know what they do. For example, timid plus speed minus attack, that kind of thing. So this website is excellent for a lot of good reasons. I just showed you a few of them. I haven't really been discussed any of the articles. I don't really go to that site or that section of this website that much, but you can even look at the tiers, and it shows you everything. Very extensive, very useful, so I highly recommend using this site. Up next we have Bulbapedia, and this is more of like an encyclopedia of Pokemon, as the name basically describes, and even though it's not as useful in terms of competitiveness as Smokin, this website can give you a lot of really useful information in general. So let's look up a Pokemon. Let's look up Lucario for the heck of it. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Lucario. And now it's not letting. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Lucario. Basically, this cool picture, and it's basically like a really, really extensive Pokedex. And one thing that's also really useful for this, which I find to be more useful if you're doing like the in-game campaign, is it gives you basically everything about this Pokemon that you'll need to know about, like it leveling up, what moves it learns at what level, how it evolves, and things like that. It even gives you, like Pokedex number, pretty much everything you could possibly want to know about the Pokemon itself, whether or not it's has to do with the competitive thing or competitive side of things or not. Also, what's really useful is it gives the type effectiveness. So like you can see that this Pokemon takes neutral damage from these 4, it's weak to these 3, immune to that, and resists all these, which is really useful. As I said, all the moves it learns when it's leveling up. And I believe that there is a way to organize this by generation, possibly, but it's gonna show 5th gen right now because that's the most recent. Also, the Pokemon, or all the Pokemon it's capable of breeding with, which is pretty cool. And yeah, even I think there's some trivia at the bottom. Did you know that Lucario's English name was revealed on February 9th, 2006? Anyway, so that's always really fun. Some of those facts are pretty interesting. But up next, we have CenterBeat, which is essentially the news of Pokemon. It basically lists everything that's going on involving Pokemon in the world. So like, you know, Tuesday, Black and White 2, first global link details, all this kind of stuff. So these are just articles dealing with news and things like that, so you can be updated on when things are happening. Also, they have like a Pokemon of the Week thing, and they have basically the latest details on Black and White 2, which whenever it comes out should be pretty interesting. Probably not going to get it unless the campaign is different than the Black and White, but looks pretty cool right now. And also there are options with or dealing with competitive things on this. For example, you can look at basically any Pokemon for any generation, similar to how Smokin does, but also, you know, you can basically find out everything about a Pokemon the same way you did. So I prefer using Smokin for this, but like, you know, you can still search everything. Has pretty much everything you're gonna need to know. Same thing with levels and stuff, and also it has the stats at the bottom. And it shows like the fluctuation, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's that. And then finally we have the Pokemon Online site. Basically, all it is pokemon-online.eu, and all you basically have to do is go on this website and click the download for either Mac or Windows. Linux too, I think. No, that's Lion, sorry. Yeah, and this is basically where I spend a lot of my time. So we want to command. Where is it? Oh my gosh, why can't I do this? We're just gonna click it. Okay, I wanted to try to be fancy. Alright, so here we have, you know, the Pokemon Online thing that I've showed you before. The reason why I enjoy using this the most is because, like, I can physically manipulate everything. So let's just, like, take a random Pokemon on Pupitar. Like, I can see, you know, how many EVs I'm adding and, like, what it's doing to the stats, and why I think that's the most useful thing to me, because, you know, I need to get that kind of hands-on experience with it, I guess. So, like, oh, you know, if I take away this many EVs, I could put them in speed or something, and, like, that could be more useful to a lot of you than just basically making the sets or just, like, looking at them through Smokin or any other websites. Also, what it's really cool is you can, you know, box a lot of things. So this is like one of my boxes. I have them organized by generation. This is only half of what I have. All the other stuff is on the Windows version that I had of it. So that's why, you know, there's a lot of things missing. I have about 4 or 5 boxes for each generation on that because I'm ridiculous sometimes. But the coolest thing is, even if you might not find the best team to use a specific set on, you can just box it. So for example, I have, you know, this Dugong right here, which I might show later in one of my grab bag videos. Never used it before, but I have it, and I think it might be something cool to try out one day, but, you know, I don't have it for now. And then also, what's really great is the Pokedex option, because say if we want to look at something, you know, like, alright, Venusaur, it'll give you its Pokedex description, its abilities, stats, similar to the way Smokin listed it, weaknesses, resistances, immunity, and all the moves. So these are 4 basically awesome resources that you all can use, and I hope that you all, you know, try these out to help you gain better knowledge of Pokemon and help you with your set building in the future. But that's it for this episode, everyone. So thank you all for watching. I hope you learned a little bit more about where you can go to find any Pokemon information you might need. This series will be continued later in part 3, where I'm basically going to talk about how you can observe a Pokemon from every possible angle and make as many interesting sets as possible for it. So stay tuned for that, but as always, take care and goodbye.